everyone. So I put out a call for questions on Instagram and you guys responded with quite a few. And so I'm just going to go through my phone and I'm going to answer the questions as I see them. A lot of the questions are repeats, so hopefully I can get to a majority of the questions on here in this video. So the first one that I see asks, will you be going back to work after the baby boys are born, and how will your budget change for childcare? So I'm actually not going to be returning to work. My last day, it's actually about 3 weeks from now, and I'm going to be staying at home. So I don't have to budget childcare. Right now, Connor does go to like an after school childcare center, and so we pay for that. So obviously with me being at home, we won't have to pay for that anymore. And I won't have to pay for childcare, which is awesome, but I will be, you know, losing my income, which is not so fun, but it will totally work out because we've actually been living off of Matt's income for the last few years, as my income has been going towards, you know, Matt's tuition and our house fund and things like that. So we're used to living off the numbers as far as like our living expenses, but we just won't have my extra income coming in that could go towards like fun stuff. But it's totally worth it if I can have, you know, twin babies at home and I can be at home with them and I can be more available for Connor and little school functions that he is a part of. So that's really exciting. So no, I won't be returning to work afterwards. Okay, so the next question is, do you guys have names picked for the boys? If so, are you sharing before they are born? So we, I think, have settled on 2 names. We have been going back and forth for so many weeks with different names. I could, oh my goodness, the list of names that we have come up with and then, you know, changed our minds on is so long. And so the names that we have right now, I'm 99% sure that we're gonna keep and we're gonna stick to those. I have decided that I'm not going to share until after the babies are born what the names are, because I have noticed, and people totally don't mean to do this, but I have noticed that when I share like a name that I like or something I'm thinking, people will give their opinion, which is totally great, but sometimes the opinions are not so nice. And I'm like, well, I really like that name, or, you know, whatever. So I've realized that it's probably best just to keep those names private until after the babies are born, and then it's like, here are the names, deal with them, you know. But we do have, again, 2 names, first names and middle names picked out so far. So I'm hoping that these are the names that we keep, unless we just find or hear another name where we're like, oh, that's baby B's name, you know, whatever. But so far, yes, we do have names picked. The next question, it says, how is your budget changing after being a stay-at-home mom? So I mentioned this already, but the last few years, my income has solely gone towards paying for Matt's tuition, as well as like major sinking funds, like house sinking fund and tuition sinking fund and things like that. And we've been living off of his income. And so now that Baby Step 3B is done, now that I've purchased my van, so I don't need to really be putting like a ton of money towards like a car sinking fund. Now that all these things have kind of been met, my income would really just kind of be extra money, which of course is great, but it doesn't mean that our budget really has to change that much. Now, of course, with me being a stay-at-home mom, I'm gonna try to be a little bit more resourceful as far as groceries and things like that. But it's not really gonna change that much, which we're very fortunate. So again, of course, I'm gonna try to save money where I can, but thankfully we don't have to like cut it back too much. Okay, so the next question is, what will your grocery budget be once the twins arrive? So I think initially I'm going to keep it at $500 a month. Not that we've been sticking to that for the last like 2 months. We've been really bad actually with like the food budget. It's been out of control, to be honest. But I'm hoping in the next few weeks, once I'm home full time, I can kind of get more of a grip on that. So hopefully we can keep it at $500 a month initially, just because I do plan on breastfeeding. And so I don't really think our budget's gonna change that much as far as our expenses for the grocery store. Of course, I have to buy diapers and wipes and things like that. So maybe $550 a month, you know, or something like that. I'm hoping it doesn't just, you know, isn't like $600 or $700 a month. I'm really gonna try to be lean with our groceries and stick to $500 bucks. But if I have to, you know, adjust it a little bit, that's fine. So I would say between 500 and 600, 500 being the goal every month. Okay, so the next question is, do you have any fears regarding becoming a mom of 3? Absolutely. when you have a single child, and that's like your only thing that you have to really focus on and make sure that that little child is fed and kept warm and, you know, that their basic needs are met. It's obviously a lot easier to do that with one child versus 3. And I've always heard that one child is one, but the second child is like having 20. You know, it just changes the dynamic so much in your home. And so just going from 1 child to 3 just overnight, that does scare me just a little bit, but I'm very fortunate that Connor is older and he is not so hands-on anymore. You know, he is going to be going into the 1st grade and he's little Mr. Independent, you know, and he's very self-sufficient, I guess you could say. So he's actually, if anything, going to be a very big help. So that's helpful. But having just 2 babies at once, that does kind of scare me a little bit. So I'm sure it'll be natural and I'll be like totally fine. But I guess you could say just fears are just making sure everybody's getting an equal amount of attention. Obviously the twins will need a little bit more when they first come home. Not letting Connor feel left out. Just trying to make a good balance of life. And making sure that everybody's needs are met. Okay, so the next question, are you and your husband saving for any changes in the new house? So no, actually, because we're, the house that we purchased is move-in ready. I'm actually sitting in the nursery right now because I just did my pregnancy update video. But the house is totally move-in ready. It doesn't need anything. I mean, we might paint a few rooms just to kind of put our personal touches on it. But the house is in great shape and doesn't need anything. So that's great. We've already purchased some appliances that we needed, as well as a new dining room table because we've never had a nice one. And so that was something that we kind of splurged on. But besides that, no, I mean, we don't really need anything. The house doesn't need anything. I mean, hopefully it doesn't need anything that I'm aware of. The homes that we were looking at prior to purchasing this one were more fixer-upper homes because I wasn't anticipating being pregnant with twins at all. And so those homes obviously needed work. They needed a total overhaul, which I've always wanted to just dive into, like a fixer-upper. Actually, the channel that I'm totally loving right now is My Sold Called Home with Hillary, where they just bought this house and they are like totally redoing it, and I love that. Like, that's absolutely what I wanted to do. But I know now, obviously with being pregnant with twins, that there was no way we could take on a project like that, which is why we chose the house that we did that was move-in ready. So no, the house doesn't need anything. And again, maybe paint the nursery a fun color, which I'm not really sure. I'm not really good at decorating or anything like that. But no, thankfully the house doesn't need anything. Okay, so the next question is, now that you and your husband purchased a home, what is your next big financial goal? So I would say just really starting to beef up retirement, which is baby step 4. Baby step 5 is college saving for the kids, and then baby step 6 is paying off your mortgage early. We have been putting money towards retirement, you know, all these years. It hasn't been 15%. So once the twins are home and they're safe and mommy's safe and everything's good to go, we are going to talk to our financial investment guy and bump it up even more. But what's actually funny is that we did the numbers the other day and we're only a few $100s off from hitting the 15% of our income, which I thought it was a little bit more for some reason, I guess because I was adding in my income. So based off of Matt's income only, we're already pretty close to that 15%. And so we will adjust that accordingly, as well as setting up our college savings accounts for all 3 kids. Okay, so I think I'm gonna answer one more question and then wrap up this video. So maybe I'll like break this up into 2 separate videos and answer the rest of these later on. But the last question I see says, with all the changes that have happened as far as the new house, the babies, and all the things that you need, that need to be purchased for them, do you feel that you're so in control of your spending and budget? So yes, I was actually telling Matt the other day, it's kind of funny because our house fund has been used, you know, and I was just saying how funny it was that, you know, for the last 3 years, you know, we have just sacrificed and saved so much in order to get our house fund to a place that we're comfortable with, and just every single bonus and every single tax return and every single like big chunk of money that has come in for anything has gone straight to that house fund. Monthly sacrifices, you know, money that we put aside every single month, and we've just worked so hard to get that money. So it took 3 years to build it up, but then it only took 6 weeks to spend it, you know? And I was just telling him like how crazy that is. But you know, we utilized that money for the purpose that we saved it for. We got our house down payment, so we used it for that. We had closing costs, you know, that we had to pay for. I just got my new car that I've been needing to upgrade on. We got some things for the home that we needed as far as like appliances, a new table, some little splurges here and there, like new bedding and things like that. But it's just funny to see, you know, again, like all those years of like saving money just be spent, you know, so quickly, I guess. So everything is still, the only thing I can honestly say that we've been overspending in has been like our food budget, because I have not been cooking or going to the grocery store. I've been really bad. Matt's been going to the store, so that's all like crazy. But as far as, you know, our spending and our budget, for the most part, everything's still pretty in sync with where it should be. Again, except like the eating out budget, that's been like really bad. But I feel like all of our needs have been met as far as things that we need for the house. We don't really need anything else. We were wanting to get a new, we were wanting to get a new couch for our living room, but we're not going to. We're gonna wait on that. We need some other things like baby stuff, so we will, you know, buy those things as we need them. But I probably won't do that until this summer. But until then, yeah, I think all of our needs are met. I feel like we're in a good place, so I'm happy with how everything has turned out. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video, and I will film a part 2 in the future. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and thank you for all your questions, and I will see you in another video.